The snow had been falling for 3 days without pause, turning the frontier world of Karos, 7 into a white, howling graveyard. Wind screamed across the plains like a living thing, piling drifts higher than buildings and erasing roads, footprints, and hope with equal indifference. Even the automated weather towers had gone dark, their blinking lights swallowed by the storm. In the middle of that endless white, something small moved. It wasn't a native creature. The native life of Karos. 7 had long ago learned to burrow deep and wait out the planet's lethal winters. This was different. Thin-limbed, shivering, wrapped in torn fabric that offered no protection against the cold. The alien child stumbled, fell, and did not immediately get back up. Her name was Selly. At least it had been once. Names mattered less when survival became the only language left. She pressed her forehead into the snow, the cold burning like fire against her skin. Her species, the Lyran, were not meant for worlds like this. They evolved under warm twin suns, not frozen skies that tried to steal the heat from your bones. She had been left behind. The transport ship had lifted off hours ago, engines roaring as it fled the storm. The adults shouted, fought, panicked. Someone had pushed her toward a storage crate, telling her to wait. Someone else had screamed that there was no room. The ramp had closed. The ship had risen. Selly had waved until her arms went numb. Now they were numb anyway. "I'll be quiet," she whispered to the snow, the words fogging weakly in the air. "I won't take much. I promise." The snow did not answer. Her vision blurred, the white world dimming at the edges. She curled in on herself, trying to preserve what little warmth she had left. Her hands, four-fingered and trembling, were already losing feeling. She knew distantly that this was bad, very bad. She wondered if the cold hurt less when you stopped feeling it. Miles away, a human trudged through the storm. Jonah Hale shouldn't have been out there. Every emergency protocol said the same thing. Shelter in place. Wait it out. But Jonah had learned long ago that rules were written for average days, and this wasn't one of those. He was part of the planetary survey team. Humans, mostly, stubborn enough to settle a world everyone else called temporarily hostile. When the storm hit, half the outlying sensors went dark. One of them had been close to a refugee camp that hadn't fully evacuated. Jonah couldn't shake the feeling in his gut. He moved slowly, leaning into the wind. His insulated coat already crusted with ice. The heater in his suit whined in protest, struggling to keep up. Visibility was almost zero, the world reduced to swirling white and the crunch of snow beneath his boots. Then he saw something that didn't belong. Shape. Too smooth. Too small. Jonah stopped, heart hammering. He adjusted his visor, zooming in through the storm. "Oh no," he breathed. He broke into a run. Selly thought she was dreaming when the snow around her shifted. A shadow loomed overhead. Tall, broad, impossibly solid. Panic flared weakly in her chest. Predators came in many shapes. She tried to crawl away, but her limbs refused to obey. A voice cut through the storm. "Hey! Hey, you, stay with me!" It was loud, urgent, and warm. Strong hands scooped her up before she could protest. She let out a faint, frightened sound, more reflex than intention. "It's okay," the voice said quickly. "I've got you. You're not alone." She was pressed against something solid and radiating heat. Fabric wrapped around her, thick and heavy, smelling faintly of oil and something comforting she couldn't name. Her face buried against a chest that rose and fell steadily, stubbornly alive. Human. She knew the word from stories. Loud bipeds. Dangerous. Unpredictable. But this one was warm. "I'm sorry," she whispered, barely audible. I'll try not to be heavy. Jonah swallowed hard. Kid, he said, his voice rough, you don't weigh a thing. Without hesitation, he shrugged off his insulated coat, the last line of defense against the storm, and wrapped it fully around her, cocooning her small body against his chest. Alarms in his suit immediately began to protest as the temperature dropped, but he ignored them. One arm held her securely. The other activated his emergency beacon. Survey Team Alpha, this is Hale, he shouted into the wind. I've got a survivor. Child. Liren, I think. She's alive but hypothermic. I'm heading back. Static crackled, then a shocked reply. Jonah, are you insane? You're outside the safe radius. Yeah, he muttered, adjusting his grip as Selly shivered. I know. The walk back was agony. The storm fought him every step, clawing at his exposed layers, seeping cold into his muscles. Jonah's teeth chattered violently. His breath came out in ragged clouds. But every time his steps faltered, he felt the faint rise and fall against his chest. Alive. Selly clung to him weakly, her fingers tangled in his shirt. The warmth was overwhelming, almost painful as sensation slowly returned. She whimpered softly, tears freezing on her lashes. Easy, Jonah murmured, though his own vision was starting to blur. You're safe. I've got you. No one had ever said that to her before. She believed him anyway. They burst through the airlock of the outpost just as Jonah's legs finally gave out. Hands grabbed them. Voices overlapped. Heat washed over them like a wave. Jonah collapsed to his knees, still refusing to let go until medical staff gently pried Selly from his arms. Hypothermia, someone said urgently. Both of them. Jonah barely registered the medics dragging him toward a warming pod. His last conscious thought was a flash of fear. Did she make it? Selly woke up surrounded by light. Soft light. Warm light. She lay on a padded surface, wrapped in thermal blankets far better than anything she'd ever known. Machines hummed quietly around her. The air smelled clean. A human sat nearby. He looked terrible. His skin was pale, his hair damp with sweat, dark circles under his eyes. His arm was bandaged, and an N4 snaked into his vein. But when he noticed her stirring, his face lit up like a sunrise. Hey, he said softly. Welcome back. She stared at him, heart pounding. You stayed. He shrugged weakly. Didn't seem right to go anywhere. Tears welled up in her eyes before she could stop them. I thought the cold was going to take me. Jonah leaned forward as much as the monitors allowed. Yeah, it almost did. His expression turned serious. But it didn't. Because you're tougher than you think. She shook her head. I'm small. I slow everyone down. That's so, he asked gently. Funny. Because carrying you is the reason I'm still proud of today. The words settled into her chest, warm and unfamiliar. The ending didn't come all at once. Came in paperwork and long talks. In heated arguments with off-world authorities who wanted to relocate Selly again. In Jonah standing his ground with a stubbornness that bordered on defiance. She's not cargo, he said flatly. She's a kid. And she's staying. Humans, it turned out, had a reputation. They were the species that walked into storms. The ones who gave away their coats. The ones who refused to accept that survival had to be cruel. Weeks later, the snow melted. Selly stood outside the outpost, watching sunlight glint off the last retreating drifts. She wore a new coat, one size just for her, but she still remembered the weight of Jonah's around her shoulders. She wasn't alone anymore. And in a galaxy that often mistook kindness for weakness, a frozen world would forever remember the day a human proved them wrong.